I would literally just vomit stomach acid. Doctors and gynaes always say just avoid. Number one thought for me is to survive. There's a 20 to 35% risk of severe congenital defects. I can tell you it's real. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a chatty video with you guys. I really enjoy doing these kinds of chatty videos, especially when it comes to my pregnancy. And I know a lot of you guys have been very interested to know how I've been feeling, how I've been doing. And today I thought I will do a pretty fun one because you guys know this is my first pregnancy. So I had to learn so many things, and honestly, I finally get it now when people say that our bodies are amazing. Like a woman's body, especially through childbirth or through getting pregnant and bearing a child, really goes through so many things. So here are some interesting things about pregnancy that I didn't know, and I bet you didn't know too. I hope it's an interesting one for you, okay? So first thing first, morning sickness doesn't only happen in the morning. So I think a lot of us, like especially the old me, the old Mong, I would think that, oh, morning sickness is usually like what you see in dramas, right? Like where they feel nausea, but then they don't actually vomit. Like they'll just be like, but they actually don't vomit, and then that's like a sign that the person is pregnant. And nobody really talks about why morning sickness happens. And because of the name morning sickness, it literally means like early morning you feel sick. But actually, no, it happens pretty much any time of the day, and it really depends highly on the individual. For me, I felt morning sickness 95% of my day. 5% being when I'm in deep sleep, but most of the time I'm not even sleeping because I would actually be so nauseous while trying to sleep that I would be vomiting through the night. So morning sickness typically happens because there's a surge in hormones in your body, and your body is just kind of not used to it, and because you're kind of like growing a new thing inside of you, you just feel very thrown off. But pretty much it doesn't happen to everybody. Some people who are lucky enough, they might not even experience morning sickness at all. Some people have it until a certain time. Most people actually have morning sickness until the first trimester, which is the 3rd month of the pregnancy. But I am actually in my 6th month right now, and I'm still experiencing morning sickness, although it's getting slightly better. It's not just feeling nausea, we do actually throw up. And most of the time, morning sickness can be triggered by not having enough food in your body. And that's when, like for me, my personal experience is if I feel hungry, I'm just extremely nauseous and I would literally just vomit stomach acid. There's like nothing in there. And once I reach that point of no return, nothing I do, nothing I eat, nothing I drink is gonna make it go away. In fact, anything that I do is gonna just be thrown up on top of that. So I know, a bit TMI, but morning sickness has been something that really tested me and my endurance and my mental strength a lot. Happy to say that I'm still here, but I was really just this close of falling into a state where I just felt unhappy about the pregnancy, and it feels very weird saying it out loud here. But I'm happy that I am past that stage, and it's a lot more manageable now for me. I probably throw up like maybe twice a week now, but I still do feel nausea a lot, especially at night. So for me, it would be called night sickness, not morning sickness. Number 2, food aversions and why we have to avoid these foods. So in general, I think the general consensus is that food that's raw, that's undercooked, that's not pasteurized, they are generally no-no because they contain bacteria, or rather there is a high chance that it contains bacteria, and that might potentially trigger some stuff in you. You will fall sick, and it's just very dangerous for the baby inside of you. So to avoid all chances, all risks, doctors and gynaes always say just avoid. There are some gynaes that say that, you know, as long as you can guarantee that the produce is extremely fresh, like in those really high-end Japanese restaurants, you can consume those sashimi. I would say that, personally for me, Thankfully, I don't really have very strong cravings for sashimi yet, so that's why I haven't really had to see the need to take that risk. But it has been really troublesome because I didn't realize that there are so many things in our daily lives that contain things that I can't eat. For example, ibiko. Even if you order a shiokmaki, everything is cooked, ibiko is there, and ibiko is not cooked. So I had to scrape off ibiko, and it's really tough to scrape off. I had to scrape it off and just eat the rest of the sushi and avoid the ibiko. Another one would be your cold cuts. So I can't go to Subway and order a cold cut trio. I can't order ham. I can't order Parma ham. Unless it's cooked, but most of the time they don't cook Parma ham. You know, I can't do my charcuterie. Things like cheese, like soft blue cheese, you can't. Things that are not pasteurized, like a meringue. Like if your meringue is not baked, it's torch. I can't eat that as well. Onsen egg, or anything eggs with runny centers, like runny yolk. So your ramen egg, your onsen egg, your half-boiled eggs, your eggs benedict, your scrambled eggs, they're like half done. Oh no. It's been more troublesome than anything. So thank God my baby is quite nice. I don't really have cravings for these things, but I've been very mafan, you know, and I feel very bad to all the requests that I have to make. Of course, alcohol and caffeine, they are generally kind of told by gynaes to keep it either completely not take them, like alcohol, or for caffeine, if you really have to take it, it's okay to take up to 200 milligrams a day, and that's usually 1 to 2 cups of coffee or tea. So yeah, that's why you keep seeing me drink my teh peng, because I couldn't even drink water, so just number one thought for me is to survive. That's the Western side of things. We have the Chinese or Asian side of things, and especially living in Singapore, we have like cultures from everywhere and we eat food from many different like cultures, right? So for those of you who like Singaporean Chinese food, did you know that we are not supposed, or rather they say that you should avoid things like ginseng, things like tang kueh. So I've not been able to take any like ginseng chicken or even herbal chicken soup, or my favorite 店小二 tang kueh ya. I can't, because apparently that causes uterus contractions. And even your klang style bak kut teh, the other time I asked on Instagram whether or not it's okay to eat it, and I think 90% of the mummies said that Singaporean pepper style is okay because it doesn't contain any Chinese herb, but the Malaysian klang style, the dark herbal one, is generally a no because it contains tang kueh inside. So yeah, now you know. Oh, and one thing I realized after doing lots of research is that even watercress soup, like xiyang cai tang, you know, is not recommended for pregnant women because watercress is apparently a vegetable that causes uterus contraction too. Who knew? Number 3, pregnancy weight gain. So did you know that pregnancy weight gain is not just about how disciplined you are when it comes to controlling your mouth and controlling your diet. Actually, the more underweight you were pre-pregnancy, the more weight you have to gain throughout your pregnancy. So if you are normal weight, the general guideline is about 12 to 15 kilos weight gain at the end of your pregnancy. If you're underweight, like for me, if my BMI pre-pregnancy was on the lower side, I'm supposed to be gaining 13 to 18 kilograms throughout my pregnancy. So compared to 12 to 15 and 6 to 8 for people who are overweight. So there you know. Point number 4, pregnant women count by weeks and not months. So before I got pregnant myself, I always thought that it was just this weird obsession that mums have when it comes to like celebrating the weeksary. You know how like there are some couples that like, oh, today is our like 325th week versary, you know, that kind of thing. I always thought that like, you know, moms were just very like obsessed with the baby's growth inside them, that they didn't want to count by months. But I realized that actually why they do so is because a baby's development completely changes week by week. For example, a baby can grow like, oh, some veins in the heart this week, and next week the baby can actually grow fingers, and then next week the baby can grow like the brain. So it actually moves week by week, and therefore if we were to talk about the pregnancy in months, most of the time we are skipping like week by week, that we are kind of like just lumping together. And that's why at the gynae, they usually go by like how many weeks are you, so that they can accurately know which stage of your pregnancy you are in. Just that for me, when I talk to my friends, I still tell them I'm 6 months, because like that's the more universal language that everybody understands. Because if I say like 24 weeks, they will just be like, 24 divide by 7, divide by 4, you know? Yeah, so interesting fact number 5. Your body actually releases this hormone called relaxin that helps to loosen your muscles, your ligaments, your joints in preparation for childbirth, because you know that during childbirth or during pregnancy, your body needs to accommodate for this growing thing, so much so that your organs will automatically find its way to like shift around within you. And as your baby gets closer to its due date, it starts like going down the pelvic bone, and that's where your bone actually like expands. And this hormone is called relaxin that actually helps your body do that. This is very cool to me, because I always thought of like, oh, as your baby goes through the pelvic bone and stuff, like you break your bones. Like it just sounds so painful, but actually no. It's the help of relaxin, this hormone. But that also means that pregnant women are a lot more prone to injuries, especially if they carry heavy things or sudden movements, like sudden jerks and everything. They're more prone to like overstraining and overstretching themselves, because they're so much more loose now and they can't control their body like they used to. Interesting fact number 6, skincare and makeup. So I always wondered, why is it that pregnant women couldn't use certain skincare or couldn't use certain makeup? But now I know, after doing lots of research, in general, ingredients that are very harsh, that kind of work by penetrating into your bloodstream or penetrating into the deeper surface of the skin, are not advised. So things like retinol, retin A, and its derivatives, they are usually the number 1 no-no. Accutane as well, so those people with lots of acne, they have been on Accutane for years. Actually, Accutane is quite potent and quite dangerous if you're planning to get pregnant. So usually they will advise you to stop Accutane at least 2 months before you try to get pregnant, because apparently, according to studies, it shows that there's a 20 to 35% risk of severe congenital defects. So that is like really high and quite dangerous if you ask me. Of course, you also have to look out for things like BHAs, like your salicylic acid, but of course those in very high doses. So some people just avoid it completely. For me, I still do use salicylic acid products in low dosages, like those in my cleanser, like the Abib foam cleanser, because I'm not leaving it on my skin, I just wash it off. And some chemical sunscreens, especially this one that contains oxybenzone, because oxybenzone is an ingredient that could disrupt the hormones and cause permanent damage to mother and baby. That's so scary, right? But don't be afraid, because I think not a lot of chemical sunscreens these days use oxybenzone. In fact, yeah, I think it's like really quite rare. And ask your gynae if anything, okay? Unsure. So for makeup, I generally go for the same products. I don't really see any issues with makeup, but I have been avoiding things like gelish manicure because of the UV lamp. And I have also went to the salon once and I requested for sulfate-free dye. I've not gone for eyelash extensions, but I plan to go closer to my delivery date where my pregnancy is a lot more stable. Interesting fact number 7, pregnancy brain is real, everybody. You know, I always thought that it was just a thing. You know how like we still don't know whether like COVID actually causes brain fog, but everyone says it does. But it doesn't happen to everybody, you know, that kind of thing. But obviously now that I'm pregnant myself and I face pregnancy brain, I can tell you it's real. Like I've just become so much more blur these days, very forgetful. I can, like the other day, I just walked out of the house wearing 2 different slippers. Like what? Yeah, and they're different size. I didn't even notice it. Yeah, that's how crazy it is. I've been doing things like repeating myself or obviously like forgetting where I put my things. I mean, it doesn't help that pre-pregnancy I'm already very forgetful and I've got lots of things on my plate. But during pregnancy, because of, you know, hormonal changes, you really lack sleep. Like I've been so sleep deprived. I've been sleeping like 2 to 3 hours a day because of my lower back pain, my nausea, everything. And there's also physical changes to your brains, actual physical changes. So therefore, if you see someone who is pregnant and she's a little bit forgetful, a little bit blur, please understand that it's real. Okay, I tell you it's real. And lastly, exercise. So I always thought that pregnant women shouldn't exercise or they can only do things like swimming or like just very, very chill stuff. In general, yes, you're supposed to do moderate intensity exercises, but they do recommend you to exercise, in fact, quite a lot, 150 minutes per week. And I asked my gynae whether or not it's okay for me to go to the gym. And she said, yeah, why not? Like, she's like, as long as you've been doing it before you got pregnant, it's not something that you're diving into suddenly. And if you have proper form and proper coaching, all the more. If you want to do slightly more intense stuff, it's best to have a prenatal trainer that is going to be beside you the whole time. So that really, really helped me because like I've got Andrea with me and thank God she's like pre and post certified. So yeah, I've been able to enjoy my exercises with her. And yes, these are the 8 interesting facts about pregnancy. I think you guys didn't know. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys already knew all this. I'm the only one that didn't know all this. Yeah, let me know in the comments box down below if you found any of these facts interesting, because I found them so interesting. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!